Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. Happy Friday, everybody. Hope your day and your week are going well so far. We've got a new day and a new MLB Player Prop video to share with you guys. But first, as always, guys, hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. We are on the road to 100,000 subscribers. We just hit the 75,000 mark this week, so we are more than 75% of the way there. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Join the Guy Boston Sports community. It's a great community to be a part of. Just ask all of our great followers already. The last video we did here was on Wednesday. It was our first video after a long hiatus, but we came back firing on all cylinders. 5-0 sweep on Wednesday's video. You couldn't ask for a better return to doing MLB videos here on the channel. I joked in that video, if you parlayed all those together, it was a plus 2,300. Not a bad bet. It did cash. We didn't bet as a parlay, though, so I'm not going to take the credit of hitting a plus 2,300 parlay, but we did go 5-0 on all those picks. We had a couple of plus money plays in there, too. A very profitable, very successful first day back. So we are now 31-20 on the year. I know, like I said, if you watched the other day's video, I already explained it. I did the first couple weeks of the season, and then I took a long break because of scheduling stuff. Now I'm back. On the year so far, including Wednesday's video, we are 31-20 on our props so far this season in MLB, so a really strong MLB record so far. Let's see if we can keep that going. I've got 6 props for today's slate. This is not a parlay. These are all just straight props. You can parlay them all. Like I said, if you parlayed all those picks on Wednesday, you're sitting pretty right now, but these are meant for you guys to do whatever you'd like. Parlay them, bet them straight up. You can do whatever you'd want. There's a couple plus money plays in there too. So 6 picks for today's slate. Let's not waste any more time, guys. Let's dive right in. All right, guys, let's jump right into the Outlier screen. Shout out to Outlier, the sponsor of today's video and all of my player prop videos here on the channel. They're a very good sponsor and a good friend of Guy Boston Sports. There is a special link in our description down below that gives you guys a 7-day free trial to check it out for yourself. There's no risk, well, really no risk involved, at least for the first 7 days. You're not putting any money down. It's free. You have nothing to lose. You go for it. If you don't like it, you don't subscribe, but I'm guaranteeing you guys satisfaction. I'm satisfactory guaranteed. I'm promising you guys you're going to love this tool. It is the best sports betting tool in the market, especially with MLB season. With MLB, it's so much analytics. It's so important to check all that stuff. Outlier provides all of it for you. It's really, really a great tool. So 7-day free trial, link in our description down below. All right, guys, in the first prop of our 6 prop slate for tonight, we got Braves, I almost said Steelers, Braves, Pirates, 6:40 p.m. first pitch. We got Brian Reynolds, over 1.5 total bases. We are getting this for minus 105 on DraftKings, but it is also available on Caesars, Prize Picks, and Underdog. Now, at first glance, the data is not fantastic. You see, 5 of his last 10 games, he has cashed the over. He's averaging 2.8 total bases per game. He's had a couple of really big games. You see there versus the Brewers on May 13th. He had 10 total bases. The last 2 games versus the Giants, he cashes over 6 total bases and 5 total bases. So he's had a couple of really big games this year. But overall on the season, you see just a 39% hit rate. 20 out of 51 games this year, he has cashed this over. The head-to-head data is a little more encouraging. You see 4 of the last 7 times he has faced off with Atlanta. Of course, all these being last season. He did cash this over a 57% hit rate versus the Braves, averaging 2.71 total bases per game versus Atlanta. But guys, this one is all about matchup. Now, right down here below, there's not a ton that Outlier gives us for this pick. You see Brian Reynolds this season. He's batting 260, 303 BABIP. Like, it's not a lot of data. 88 total bases. It doesn't give you a ton here, but there's a cool thing. It's the last plug I'm going to do for today's video. Ev, and shout out to Ev. He puts the Boston guy, Boston Sports. He is an incredible guy. The work he puts in is unbelievable. He created this MLB dashboard, which gives you a ton of insight. It's a great thing to pair with Outlier. It gives you just a little bit more than what Outlier gives you. So when you pair those two together, it's really awesome. All you got to do to have access to that dashboard is become a member of the Guy Boston Sports community. It's $2.99 a month, and you get access to a bunch of stuff, including the MLB dashboard, which really is fantastic. Starting probably tomorrow's video, I'll start putting that on the screen along with the Outlier screen. I'll show you guys that dashboard a little bit. I'm not going to do it today. I don't have it set up. But it gives you a ton of insight. And so using that dashboard, we can see there's a ton of value in this prop. So looking at the dashboard here for me, Bryce Elder this year, it's really all about matchup. Bryce Elder has struggled this year, a 6.47 ERA this season for the Braves, and a lot of red across the board for him. But the most important thing we're looking at here is versus left-handed hitters, and Brian Reynolds is a switch hitter, so he can go between right and left. But versus left-handed hitters in particular, it's really bad. He's giving up a 386 batting average against left-handed hitters this season, and a 302 batting average versus right-handed hitters. So whatever way he hits, it's not not great for Bryce Elder, but specifically versus left-handed hitters, he's really having a tough time. Overall, on the season, he's giving up a 350 batting average versus, on the season. So overall, the dude's just been getting raked in his game. Strikeout percentage is extremely low, especially versus left-handed hitters. His ERA is 6.47. So this is a pretty favorable matchup here for Bryan Reynolds against a pitcher who really hasn't had that great of a year. He's giving a high batting average. Bryan Reynolds, who is a switch hitter, if he does bat left, he'll have a little bit of more of an advantage. I get it. I know that, like I said, I know on the year, the data is not fantastic. Again, his last 20 games, 45% hit rate. But, again, he does have those games where he has big moments. Like I said, the last 2 games he's cashed this over. He's averaging 2.05 total bases per game over his last 20 games. Again, a little bit of skewed data because you have like 10 bases in one game versus Milwaukee. But I do think this is a pretty favorable matchup here for Bryan Reynolds, especially at home as well. So I do like the spot here for the first prop of today's slate. All right, guys, for the second prop of today's slate, we're going over to Blue Jays Tigers, 6:40 p.m. tip-off. We got Justin Turner under 1.5 hits plus runs plus RBIs. We get this for minus 105. I believe I had this prop the other day as well, and I'm pretty sure it cashed, I think, on Wednesday's video. Let's just double check there. Yeah, on Wednesday's video here, you see he had 1 run, but had no hits and no RBI. So that we already bet this the other day, and it did cash for us. So we know that this is a cashable thing. And unlike the last bet, this prop, the data is very strong. You see, 9 of his last 10 games, he's cashed the over. I'm averaging half hit plus run plus RBI per game. He did cash this last night versus Detroit. He had 1 hit and 1 RBI versus the Tigers. But before that, it had been 9 consecutive games. Even those last 20 games, you look at that, a 75% hit rate, 15 of his last 20 games, he's cashed the under, averaging 1.1. So you see overall, he has a couple, a big game there versus Kansas City, but for the most part, this is a pretty consistent cash here for Turner. And on the year so far, a 63% hit rate, 27 out of 43 games, he's cashed the over, averaging 1.58 hits plus runs plus RBIs a game. Again, a couple of big outliers in there that skew the data a little bit, but overall, it's a pretty solid prop. And again, a lot of this prop is matchup. You see here Justin Turner in 3 plate appearances versus Matt Manning dating back to 2018. He has a 333 batting average. He has 1 hit, no runs, and no RBI. So he has cashed this the one time he's faced off with Matt Manning in his career. He has cashed this, or at least all 3 times he's faced Matt Manning, I should say. Whatever the case may be, he's never cashed the over when facing Matt Manning here. You look at his data here versus right-handed pitchers here. Justin Turner overall in the year, a 231 batting average, but versus right-handed pitchers in particular, a 189 batting average. So it does drop versus right-handed pitchers. And the opposite for Matt Manning, you see overall a 4.88 ERA this year, but it drops to 2.70 versus right-handed batters. And the batting average goes from 287 to 217. So he is a better pitcher, significantly better pitcher versus right-handed batters than left-handed batters. When you mix that with the fact that Justin Turner is worse versus right-handed pitchers, it really just is a perfect match here for the matchup. So I'm going to ride this Justin Turner under here as the second prop of today's slate. In our third prop, we're sticking with this Blue Jays-Tigers game. We're going Kevin Kiermaier over 1.5 hits plus runs plus RBIs. This is a plus money play at plus 105. Again, the data not fantastic. Pretty good, though. 6 of his last 10 games, averaging 1.8 hits plus runs plus RBIs. He has cashed it in 4 of his last 5 games. So although not the best season data of late, it's been a little bit better. You see his last 20 games, a 55% hit rate, 11 of his last 20. On the year so far, a 48% hit rate, 13 out of 27 games. He's cashed the over, averaging 1.37. hits plus runs plus RBIs per game. And looking at the head-to-head data here for Kiermaier, 3 of the last 6 times he's faced off with Detroit, he has cashed the over, including last night versus the Tigers. He had 1 hit and 1 run in that 9-1 win for Toronto. But again, it's all about matchup. We just talked about how Matt Manning versus right-handed batters is a pretty good matchup. Versus left-handed batters, it's the complete opposite. Now, Kevin Kiermaier has had success versus Matt Manning in 4 plate appearances. He has hit a home run off of him, batting .250. So 1 for 4 in his career since 2018. Versus Manning. Matt Manning, again, you see Kevin Kiermaier, 230 batting average overall. It does slightly increase versus left-handed batter, sorry, guys. Left-handed batter against right-handed pitching, you see here, he does increase his batting average slightly versus right-handed pitchers to 236 is his batting average. Again, not a massive difference. It's a slight increase, but overall, still pretty consistent production there from Kevin Kiermaier. But more importantly here, you look at Matt Manning's splits here. He goes from 4.88 ERA overall, and we saw, again, it drops significantly versus right-handed batters. Versus left-handed batters, it jumps to 6.91. The batting average goes from 287 to 339. Versus left-handed batters, Matt Manning really, really struggles, and that's where I'm betting this prop at. versus left-handed batters, he really has a rough time. And Kevin Kiermaier versus right-handed pitchers, overall, not great numbers. 236 batting average isn't something that you're going to write home about, but it's solid enough production. And again, Matt Manning really struggles versus left-handed batters. So I think it's a pretty good, safe plus money prop here for Kevin Kiermaier. And the Blue Jays have put up some runs the last couple games. By the way, guys, we just hit the 10-minute mark in today's video, so comment 10 down below if you have made it this far into today's video. Appreciate you guys who watched through the entire thing. You guys are awesome. Moving on to the fourth prop of today's slate, we're going over to the Mariners-Nationals game, 6:45 p.m. first pitch. We're going George Kirby here, under 5.5 hits allowed. We're going to get this for -125 on DraftKings, also available on Prize Picks and on Underdog. You see he has cashed in 7 of his last 10 games, averaging 5.2 hits per game. A couple of big games there, but overall pretty solid. On the year so far, a 70% hit rate. Not bad. 7 of 10 games this year, he has cashed the under, which is pretty good. Referencing the dashboard here, you see George Kirby on the season, 3.99 ERA. Not fantastic, but not bad either. But his batting average allowed overall in the year is .237, which is not too bad. Overall, his strikeout rate, pretty good, 23.5%. His walk rate, pretty much green across the board there for George Kirby. But looking at the opposite side here, this is more about how bad Washington's offense is. You see overall, they are bottom 5 in the league in batting average over the last 30 days. They're batting .215 over the last 30 days, one of the worst marks in the league. Versus right-handed pitchers, it's even slightly worse. They're batting .209 versus right-handed pitchers. Their OBP, .294 overall, which is bottom 10 in the league. OPS, bottom 5 in the league. ISO, bottom 5. Slugging percentage, bottom 5. So overall, you have a really bad Nationals offense going up against a pitcher who, again, George Kirby's not having a fantastic season, but he is having a decent year. Again, a lot of his numbers in terms of batting average, strikeout rate, all that stuff, it's in the green versus a lot of red. So overall, really solid head-to-head matchup here. So I like George Kirby here, under 5.5 hits allowed. All right, guys, for the fifth prop from today's slate, we're going Royals-Rays, 6:50 p.m. tip-off, first pitch, tip-off. My God, guys, apologies. It's Friday, coming back from vacation, still a little jet-lagged here. We got Seth Lugo, over 5.5 strikeouts here. We're getting this for -130 on DraftKings, but also available on Prize Picks, Underdog, FanDuel, and on Caesars. You see the data, not fantastic, but not terrible. He has cashed in 4 of his last 5 games. He had a couple of really big strikeout games there, 10 versus Oakland on May 18th. He had 12 versus the Angels on May 12th. And you see when he misses, he just barely missed versus Milwaukee there on May 7th. But overall, pretty solid. 40% hit rate on the year, not great. But again, he has been heating up over the last 5 games. Lugo's having a very fantastic season for the Royals, a 1.79 ERA so far this season. And if you look at the dashboard, and again, if you guys are a community member, you can go ahead and follow along on the dashboard with me. I will, starting next video, have this stuff on the screen for you guys. But it's green across the board, everything. I mean, batting average, he's only giving up a .212 average versus opposing team. His strikeout rate is a 22.7%, but that increases to 31.7% on the road, and they are at Tampa Bay today. Just green across the board, and then you go on the right side of the screen here versus with Tampa Bay, and they're not as bad as, let's say, the Nationals were in the last pick, but they're still pretty bad. Overall, their batting average, .237 over the last 30 days. That's about middle of the road, slightly bottom half of the league. Their strikeout percentage, pretty high. It's bottom 5 in the league, 24.6%. So not great. The only thing that they're really good in right now, their OBP is top 10 in the league, 319 OBP. But we're all worried about strikeouts here, and the strikeout percent, again, they're bottom 5 in the league, which means they get struck out a ton, and Seth Lugo strikes out a ton. So really good data there in the head-to-head matchup. So I really do like the Seth Lugo spot here with the over 5.5 strikeouts. All right, guys, and for the sixth and final prop of today's slate, Dodgers-Reds, 7:10 p.m. first pitch. We're going Freddie Freeman here. Over 1.5 total bases. This is for -105 odds. Again, I know it's been kind of been the trend for a lot of these picks in today's video. Data's not fantastic, but we're ignoring that. I know I always say trust the data, but we're ignoring this data for some better data, and that is, of course, the head-to-head data here, which is the most important. You look at the pitching matchup here, going up against Graham Ashcraft for the Reds. Not a very good season for Graham. 4.25 ERA and a lot of red across the board, but specifically versus left-handed hitters, it gets kind of ugly. A 302 batting average allowed against against left-handed hitters. His WHIP 1.61, his FIP 544. Like everything is in the bottom the barrel of the league in the red zone. So versus left-handed hitters, he really has been struggling this season. His strikeout rate's decently high, 17.1%, but still not very good at all. So across the board, a really good matchup here for Freddie Freeman, who of course is a left-handed hitter. And you scroll down here below, this kind of reiterates it. He's had a pretty good career versus Graham Ashcraft too. You see here, 8 plate appearances versus Ashcraft dating back 2018, a 667 batting average, 750 OBP with 4 hits, 4 total bases, a 667 slugging percentage. And then again, you see here overall, Freddie Freeman this year, 286 batting average overall, but a 331 batting average versus right-handed pitchers. So he actually is even better versus right-handed pitchers than left-handed pitchers. 386 BIP, excuse me. 220 ISO, 41% extra base hit percentage. So you see really good matchup here for Freeman. Again, Graham Ashcraft, his ERA goes from 4.25 overall to 5.48 versus left-handed batters. His batting average jumps up to 302, 500 slugging percentage, 31% extra base hit percentage. So just a really good head-to-head matchup. And again, when it comes to baseball, head-to-head matchup is the name of the game here. So yes, I know the recent data may not be fantastic for Freddie Freeman, but the head-to-head data is far too good to pass up on. So that's the sixth and final prop from today's slate. So, all right, guys, there will be a link in the description down below that gives you all of these picks. And you see here, that is that link. Will take you to this page here, and you see all 6 of our picks from today's slate are right here. You go ahead and click add to bet slip, and it'll shoot all those picks over to DraftKings. And then you can go ahead and pick and choose. You can delete some picks. You can parlay them all together if you want, whatever the case may be. But there are all the picks for you guys right there. So guys, that is it for me for today's video. Thank you very much as always for watching. Make sure hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. Until next time, I hope we're all winners. Have a good one, everybody.